Mapogo, the strongest lion coalition of all time. Dawn over the Mala Reserve. Gentle golden rays shine down on the vast grasslands where the lion pride proudly rests, at peace after a successful night of hunting. This is where the story of the Mapogo Lion Coalition begins. Makulu, the largest lion in the coalition, had a rough start. Only 20 months old, he was separated from his pride and left to wander alone. Normally, a young lion like him would have very little chance of survival. However, fate smiled upon him when the male lions of West Street accepted him. A peaceful afternoon in the sunlit fields. Makulu stood among the other male lions, silent like a shadow. No one expected that he would become part of the strongest coalition in natural history. Years later, Makulu and 5 other lion cubs, Kinky Tail, Mr. T, Rasta, Scar, and Pretty Boy, left the airport together. The peaceful afternoons were now over. 6 young warriors embarked on a new journey, without the protection of the pride. But in unity, they found strength across the vast grasslands. The 6 lions moved silently. At night, their shadows covered the ground like ghosts of the deep forest. But within that silence was the desire to survive, hidden strength waiting to explode. For the first time, Mapogo faced a herd of Cape buffalo. The sound of buffalo hooves hitting the ground, the panting of the prey, and the low growls of the predators. Kinky Tail and Mr. T led the charge. They rushed into the herd, and a fierce battle ensued. Finally, after hours of fighting, an adult buffalo fell, and the 6 young warriors surrounded their prey, breathing heavily, but with eyes full of pride. Through the days spent together, Mapogo learned to coordinate perfectly. They were no longer weak and lonely, but an unbeatable coalition. However, peace did not last long. In mid-2006, Mapogo entered the northern sands of Savi. This was the territory of 4 dominant male lions. The sky was now dark, signaling a brutal battle ahead. The brutal clash ensued as the male lions roared in challenge. But in a moment, he was defeated. The remaining three fled, leaving the Ottawa Pride with 3 lionesses and 11 cubs. On that misty morning, Mapogo silently entered the territory. No more roars or chases, only an eerie silence. The Ottawa cubs played in the shadow of their mother, only a few days ago the target of the Mapogo coalition. Mr. T, with a cold gaze, seized a lion cub and ruthlessly ate it, a rare act but a symbol of the absolute brutality of Mapogo. After the first battle, Mapogo entered its golden era. 6 warriors patrolled new lands, no longer challenged by anyone. Peaceful afternoons returned to the coalition, but this time they stood at the height of their power. Makulu lay under the shade of an ancient tree, watching his brothers play. Pretty Boy was quieter than most, while Mr. T and Kinky Tail continued to display their aggression. The atmosphere seemed peaceful, but somewhere tension was silently creeping in. After many years of dominance, the Mapogo coalition began facing internal conflicts. The simmering tension between Mr. T and Makulu erupted into a fierce battle. On a gloomy morning, Makulu and Mr. T faced off in the grasslands. Their roars echoed across the reserve as they clashed, their claws and sharp teeth tearing into each other. In the end, Makulu emerged victorious, biting off one of Mr. T's claws. This battle broke the coalition. In 2008, the coalition officially split into 2 factions. Mr. T and Kinky Tail retreated to the east, while Makulu, Pretty Boy, Rasta and Scar retained the Western Territory. Though there were still moments when the 2 factions met and interacted peacefully, each now had its own territory, and the possibility of reunification seemed unlikely. In the east, Mr. T and Kinky Tail quickly established their dominance, considered the most ruthless and active in the coalition. Not only did they defend their own territory, but Mr. T and Kinky Tail also served as a shield for their brothers in the west. To enter the area where Makulu and the others resided, intruders had to pass through the Eastern Territory, where Mr. T and Kinky Tail were always on patrol. The peaceful days of the 2 brothers passed under the sunset, but soon a new threat quietly approached. In 2010, a new coalition emerged in Sabi Sand, the Majinjalane Coalition, consisting of 5 young and strong male lions. Their thunderous roars echoed near the territory of Mr. T and Kinky Tail, signaling a new battle. On a dark night, Mr. T and Kinky Tail discovered a young male lion patrolling. Without hesitation, the 2 brothers charged. The cub was quickly cornered, and in a fit of rage, Mr. T bit into the lion's neck while Kinky Tail ripped apart its groin. The Majinjalane Coalition lost 1 member. But this victory was only temporary. What happened next would change the fate of Kinky Tail and the Mapogo Coalition forever. That night, while Kinky Tail and Mr. Tail were resting after the battle, the remaining 4 Majin Buu lions began to move. They refused to accept defeat and returned to seek revenge. In the foggy night, Kinky Tail spotted 2 Majin Gulan approaching. Without hesitation, it charged. But this was a deadly trap. 2 other lions suddenly appeared from behind, surrounding Kinky's tail. Kinky Tail fought fiercely, but against the overwhelming numbers, it quickly fell. One Majin Gulan bit into its neck, while others tore at its back and lower body. Amid the dust, Kinky Tail took its final breath. As it was devoured, Mr. Tail appeared and tried to save his brother. But against the strength of the 4 Majin Gulan, he was forced to retreat in pain and despair. After the death of Kinky Tail, Mr. Tail returned alone to the Western Territory, where Makalu and the other brothers lived. Experts feared he would be driven out, but instead his old brothers welcomed him back. However, Mr. Tail's return did not bring peace. Soon after, he began killing and eating the cubs of other coalition members. This brutal act was to assert his position as the new ruler. No one stopped Mr. Tay. He quickly mated with the lionesses, continuing to spread his genes. Meanwhile, the losses continued to mount for Mapogo. Rasta mysteriously disappeared, possibly at the hands of enemies or poachers. Scar left the reserve and was shot near a residential area. The Mapogo coalition now had 3 members, Makaloo, Pretty Boy, and Mr. Tay. The scars of the past had now deeply affected Mapogo. They remained strong, but time and new enemies were against them. After the tragic death of Kinky Tail and Mr. Tail's return, the Mapogo coalition now had 3 members, Makaloo, Pretty Boy, and Mr. Tay. Although they once ruled the Sabi Sands Reserve, their power had weakened. In 2012, a new enemy emerged, the Salati coalition, 4 young, strong, and ambitious male lions. They moved into Mapogo's last territory from the south. On a gloomy afternoon in March 2012, a fateful battle occurred. Mr. Tay, patrolling his territory alone, suddenly faced all 4 Siberian lions. Without Makaloo and Pretty Boy by his side, Mr. Tay was in a desperate situation. A fierce roar echoed across the plains as Mr. Tay fought until his last breath. But before the overwhelming strength of the opponent, he was bitten in the spine and his back legs were paralyzed. The silent followers continued to attack, exhausting him. As the sun set, Mr. T collapsed, leaving behind his legend as a warrior. Mr. T's death marked the end of a brutal reign. Makulu and Pretty Boy, the last warriors of Mapogo, were forced to leave their territory. In the days that followed, the two male lions wandered aimlessly across new lands. Their footprints left a mark on the sun-scorched plains, a reminder of their past glory. They had grown old, and the continuous battles had drained their strength. However, Makulu remained resilient. Some witnesses recall that Makulu and Pretty Boy clashed with the Kruger coalition, two smaller male lions named Freddy and Limper. In the battle, Makulu defeated Limper, but his strength was also weakening. In October and November of 2012, Makulu and Pretty Boy were last seen near Kruger National Park. The last surviving duo, old but strong, still hunted together. Their image beside a shot-down buffalo was a reminder of Mapogo's glorious days. In January 2013, Makulu, the alpha lion, a symbol of resilience, was last seen alone at Mala Mala, where his journey had begun. Makulu was nearly 15 years old, far exceeding the average lifespan of wild male lions. The journey of Mapogo is not just a story of dominance, but also a symbol of strength, unity, and the harsh laws of nature. In 6 years of domination, Mapogo wrote an unparalleled legend. They controlled 8 prides, defeated over 100 opponents, including mature males and lionesses, creating an unprecedented era in the history of the Sabi Sands Reserve. But at the same time, the story of Mapogo is also a testament to the cruelty of nature, internal conflicts, the emergence of new enemies, and the relentless cycle of survival, pushing the coalition to the brink of destruction. Today, although the Mapogo coalition has disappeared, their legacy lives on in young male lions like Majenjilane and Silatis, who continue to rule the lands that Mapogo once controlled, as part of the harsh laws of nature. The Mapogo legend reminds us of the strength of unity, the brutality of nature, and the cost of power. These 6 warriors have entered legend, and their names will forever be remembered when speaking of the greatest rulers of the African savanna. Mapogo, they were not just lions, they are the eternal legend of Sabi Sand.
Under the dense treetops, the footprints of predators are hidden. A place where every step could be the last. The arid forests at the edge of the glacier are the scene of a fierce battle between life and death. India, a land where life hangs by a thread on the brink of destiny. The tigers and leopards pounce ferociously to hunt. Giant herds of elephants move through an unforgiving nature. This is not a mirror. Welcome to the jungles of India, where life challenges time. The hand of God has drawn the lines on the canvas of life. India has more than 80 million hectares of forest, accounting for about 24% of its total area. Here nature reflects the beauty and wisdom of divine creation, a testimony to the mission of conservation and protection that God has entrusted to humanity. These forests are not just a solid shield protecting the earth, but also the home of more than 10% of the world's wildlife. Under each treetop, along each river, and in every gentle breeze filtering through the forest's life, resounds like an endless hymn praising the Creator. It is in this place where the relentless struggle of species perfectly reflects perseverance and faith. Life, even when it comes at a cost, always sprouts and is protected by the divine. As we walk through the forests of India, it is easy to find forests with unique characteristics, from the heights of tropical rainforests to the arid thorny forests, from the mangrove forests where the Ganges flows into the bay to the snowy mountain forests. In each type of forest is a miniature model where nature and animals intertwine in a complex balance. India is home to 6 main types of forests: tropical rainforests, where there is heavy rain, mainly tall trees like teak and sandalwood; monsoon forests, wet and dry, changingly the seasons of the refuge for species like spotted deer and leopards; the mangrove forests of the Sundarbans and the mountain forests of the north reveal hidden experiences in the harsh cold. The tiger, the largest tiger in the world, is one of the greatest prides of this country. India hosts approximately 70% of the world's tiger population, with about 3,000 individuals living in its forests. The lion, smaller and with shorter fur than the African lion, now survives only in the GIR forest. These species are not just symbols of natural strength, but also tell stories of survival over time. This wealth is not by chance. India's forests are nurtured by diverse climates, from tropical humid heat to cool warmth, and even the harsh cold of high mountains. And it is also in these places where species struggle daily against fierce competition from nature and human barriers. Among the most prominent stories about the forests in India, one of the places that is often mentioned as a symbol is the Sundarbans forest at the heart of eastern India, where the rivers Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Meghna intertwine. A unique world is found. This is the largest mangrove forest on the planet, extending over 3,861 square miles and covering a large part of the coastline shared with Bangladesh. It is a land where the land meets the ocean, where the freshwater of great rivers mixes with the salt currents of the bay, creating a rich, exotic, and mysterious ecosystem. The Sundari tree, the species that gave the region its name, grows along the channels and swamps, forming a natural habitat that withstands storms coming from the bay. The complex root system of this tree not only stabilizes the soil but also filters the water, creating an ideal environment for aquatic life to flourish. The mangrove cups rise firmly against the tides. The daily high tides bring water into the forest wild, creating the perfect habitat for hundreds of animal species. This place is home to more than 400 vertebrate species, including fish, birds, reptiles, and mammals, and this is where tigers can swim and live. The tiger, the largest predator of the mangrove forest, has appeared. The saltwater tiger are solitary warriors from the Sundarbans forest. Their numbers have declined in recent decades, leaving only between 96 and 98 individuals, a concerning figure for the entire world. But in this challenging environment, the tiger has evolved into a master of survival. What makes the Sundarbans tigers special is their extraordinary swimming ability. Unlike tigers living in tropical or dry forests, the Sundarbans tigers swim frequently across the salty channels, sometimes traveling up to 5 miles, moving between small islands. Their bodies are designed for this purpose. Strong legs and powerful lungs allow them to endure long journeys, swimming in harsh conditions. Their tails act as rudders to steer their path. When the tide rises, these predators leave the small islands where they rest among the mangroves and begin to hunt. The Sundarbans forest, with its dense mangrove vegetation, is a perfect natural maze. The tiger's distinctive striped coat allows them to camouflage in the gloom of the forest, creating deadly traps with no open fields to chase prey. The ambush has begun in the darkness and in the deepest silence. While elsewhere tigers hunt large prey like deer, the tigers here rely on a more diverse menu. A 150 pounds wild boar or daring deer searching for food is a perfect target in the eyes of the tiger, launching a flawless attack without mistakes. Adaptation of the Sundarbans tiger is not limited to swimming or hunting or land. They are also conquerors of other predators. Crocodiles considered the kings of the sun cannot mark a tiger an adult weighing up to 6 telugu. Atlas between a tiger and a crocodile is are received to the predators display out their strength and intelligence to in the reef of the saltwater tigeries. Closely linked to the mangrove ecosystem of the Sundarbans according to the WWF Dominators report the mangrove forests of the Sundarbans absorb millions of tons of carbon dioxide. They are exploring many ideal habitat for wildlife. Every mangrove route is not only a food for shrimp and crabs but also a perfect platform from Durove hostages ambush their prey. But this land is not a permanently safe paradise. Storms coming from the bay with winds reaching up to 160 miles per hour often devastate the area. The tigers not only have to face their natural enemies but also the loss of their reputation to protect them. The Sundarbans has been recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and has become a key area of the Indian Tiger Project. These efforts bring hope, but they also remind us that the survival of the tiger depends entirely on the conservation of the mangrove forests compared to their relatives in other regions. The tigers in the Sundarbans face a greater challenge territory. The magnificent tropical forests of India such as Bandhavgarh or Ranthambore National Park provide enough space and food for a tiger to maintain a territory of 15 to 20 square miles, but in the Sundarban space is much more limited. Each tiger can only control a smaller area, sometimes less than 5 square miles. This forces them to adapt and become more aggressive by defending their territory. These traits and behaviors have been forged over centuries, turning them into creatures both sovereign and victims of this relentless environment. And the most formidable opponent of the king of the jungle is approaching between salt and water. A giant creature hides silently beneath the green surface. Bright eyes from the murky waters watch every movement on the shore. The saltwater crocodile, the largest reptile in the world, is the master of earthly stillness, stretching up to 23 feet and weighing over 2,200 pounds. It is the undisputed ruler of the saltwater. The saltwater crocodile is by no means a creature in a hurry, living like a shadow in the river's silent yet imposing, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The Sundarbans is its territory, a maze of channels, interwoven muddy banks, and mangrove roots. This environment is perfect for stalking and ambush. The mangroves with their roots spread out like hands form a natural barrier, but for the saltwater crocodile it is the ideal way to hide. Unlike other crocodile species, the porous crocodile has absolute survival ability in saltwater environments. It can even move through open waters to expand its territory. Recent studies have revealed that they can swim over 620 miles in the ocean using tidal currents to conserve energy. However, in the Sundarbans, where the environment is a constant struggle for survival, there is no need to move far across the territory it establishes with absolute dominance and fierce confrontation in adult Saltwater crocodile can control an area of up to 5 square miles. Any creature intruding into its domain faces deadly danger. Even the tiger. These crocodiles not only hunt prey but defend their territory at all costs, not hesitating to attack any intruder, including humans. According to statistics from the Wildlife Protection Society of India, in 2023 there were reported 20 to 30 crocodile attacks in the Sundarbans each year. These are not despotic behaviors, but a strategy to protect its dominant position. They are perfect machines. When hunting, their bodies are designed for sudden and precise attacks, possessing the strongest bite in the animal kingdom with a force of up to 3,700 psi, enough to crush the thick bones of a wild boar or a deer instantly. A large crocodile hiding under the mud with only its eyes visible, a mud crab or a fish, passes by unaware of the lurking danger. Suddenly a sudden burst, the prey disappears into the crocodile's jaws. But the saltwater crocodile is not simply a predator. It plays an important role in maintaining the ecological balance in the Sundarbans. By hunting fish, crabs, and small animals, it controls the population and prevents the overabundance of any species. This behavior helps preserve the area's biodiversity, from aquatic species to birds like herons and kingfishers. A fisherman on the mudflat, a giant crocodile lies motionless, sunbathing. Its favorite pastime is, if it were part of the earth, an extension of the forest blending into the world around it. But in that stillness there is a vibrant and terrifying life. Its slow breath marks the rhythm of a creature that has existed for millions of years. Each bite is the result of centuries of evolution, and in every river of the Sundarbans, the ferocious crocodile continues to write the history of dominance, a story not belonging to humans but to the wild nature.